from the field and 40% from three. On the road, you're not going to win many games. So if their focus needs to be more on the defensive end than on the offensive end.
I hear you, but last night you're sitting behind the bench and I'm watching him. I see Andre Iguodala say to Steve Kerr, like, my knees seem like they shot. They seem like they're shot. Yeah. Right? So if you're taking Andre Iguodala out of the picture, Kevon Looney, Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook, Sean Livingston. Like, these are legitimate names. You're saying you have to give me.
And they still scored 108 points.
I agree with
someone on the other side going 14 for 17. I'm not saying that Toronto can't win this series. I think that this is going to be a great series that not a lot of people know which way it's going to go. But what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to make this more of a defensive series than us trying to outscore you.
And the other factor in this is we try and figure out where else Golden State can go for offense is, I guess, that guy that we're seeing on the screen. In this moment, he's playing D. But do they need this?
They do.
Was what we saw last night an indication that as great as they were against Portland, that they need Kevin Durant to win this?
This ain't Portland, and this ain't Houston. This is a well-balanced team with a stud, a future star, and a great defensive team. And they have lots of guys that have played against the Warriors before. That's one thing that I will say playing against them in the regular season and then all of a sudden in the finals. If you don't see anything like the Warriors, you have no experience. But then all of a sudden, again, we said this, Danny Green, you have Serge Ibaka, and Kawhi Leonard understand the intensity that it takes to play against this Warriors team.
I'm just ask you as directly as it can be asked.
Yes.
Can the Warriors win this series if Durant does not play a minute?
I picked Toronto in 7.
Yeah.
What do you mean, here we go? I said it yesterday.
Here we go.
I picked Toronto in 7 if Kevin Durant doesn't play. I think something else that people are looking over, the energy in that building last night was insane. I'm not saying it was better than Oracle, because Oracle's crazy too. But let's not forget, this is the first time this team is having their first NBA Finals experience on the road. On the road. And under Steve Kerr, in the finals, on the road, they're 6-5. They're 6-5.
Yeah.
So this is new territory for them to feel out as well.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of bodies that haven't really experienced this. Yeah, so Quinn Cook and all of these guys. Some of these guys might have championships. Looney might have championships, but they're in a very different role. You're asking Steph to go back and play a 73-win style basketball. You're asking Klay to do that. Draymond, they're fine. But now you're asking Looney and McKinney to go out there and we need you to score. We're going to ask you to do a role that you have never done before. And I think when you look at that, it becomes a little bit more difficult for these guys.
Yeah, here's a bunch of guys in the supporting cast not knocking down shots last night, and some of that is on the road, and some of that could be a little bit of rust. And look, there's no cause for any panic. No. There's an amazing statistic. This is the 5th time under Steve Kerr that Golden State has trailed in a playoff series. They won the previous 4. The only time they ever lost a playoff series, you guys beat them in a Game 7 in a series in which you never led until it was actually over. So, look, they've come from behind before. I don't think there's any reason to believe that they will panic. But if you needed some indication, if there were anyone out there that was sort of a doubter and needed an indication that the Raptors are absolutely capable of fighting this team toe-to-toe, I think last night we saw it.
There's also a stat that said the team that wins Game 1 in the NBA Finals wins the series 71% of the time.
That's a good stat.
71% of the time.
To stats and numbers, but
I'm just saying. And if you're Toronto, if you don't get Game 1, then it would have been. It would have been over.
But
you got to get Game 1.
And no one was saying this was ever going to be a sweep. So I think we're right where I think everyone believes this series is going to go.
The only person who said that was Dan Orlovsky, sitting right there. Which means from now
Dan,
on,
you're not
he is limited to football conversation only. Yeah. We'll talk to him about quarterbacks and nothing else. All right, let me get up and go here and catch you up on some of the other things that happened in the world of sports yesterday. It begins with Tiger Woods. Opened with a 2 under 70 in the first round of the Memorial yesterday, coming off missing the cut at the PGA. He finished strong. He had 3 birdies and a bogey over his last 5 holes. This is a golf course where he tends to play well. Ryan Moore, by the way, is your leader, shooting an opening round 65, but it was a perfectly reasonable good start for Tiger Woods yesterday. Meanwhile, news from the NBA as we get up and go. Mike D'Antoni confirming he has ended talks with Rockets management on a contract extension. He'll go into the final year of his deal. Is that a big deal, RJ?
I think it's a big deal. I think this is how you see a normal dysfunction in an organization, right? We don't want to discuss La La Land. This is normal. You got assistant coaches being fired, everybody talking about you're going to trade, the entire team is up for a trade, and you have the head coach that has been doing a great job, although there's been some gaps, now in a spot where he's not going to get an extension.
Hard to win in that system when your best player doesn't really buy into it all the time.
Ooh. We'll see if this is D'Antoni's last year and just how many changes they make in Houston. Meanwhile, we get up and go to college basketball. Michigan formally introducing a Michigan man. Juwan Howard as their new basketball coach yesterday. Howard will join us live an hour from now. Was very emotional at the news conference.
I said I wasn't gonna cry.
Great emotion from him. Jay Will, what do you make of this yesterday?
I think it was great for basketball. I think bringing the culture back to Ann Arbor, and I didn't mean the winning culture because John Beilein did a great job of that, but they have not had one McDonald's All-American for the longest time. I think Juwan Howard can go into those types of environments and bring those type of players to Michigan with that kind of swag.
Well, a reminder, at 10 after 9 Eastern this morning, so basically 50 minutes from right now, 2 members of the Fab Five will be united live on our air. Jalen will interview Juwan Howard.
Yeah, the cabbage patch. Hit him with the cabbage patch.
We look forward to that. Again, those guys will be together. Jalen, Juwan, we will talk about everything coming up a little after 9 this morning. Meanwhile, on planet Earth, Scripps National Spelling Bee, final score yesterday, kids 8, dictionary 0. There were 8 spellers still alive entering the final round last night, and then this happened.
You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. Correct. You are correct. You are correct.
All 8 of them, all 8 of these kids got their final word right, and they were all declared co-champions.
What?
They ran out of words.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Hey,
here we go.
You know what I want? I want there to be 8 NBA champions this year.
No,
that's what I want.
You're missing the point.
I'm not missing a point.
There were no words left in the English language.
There are words. You just got to make some up.
Greeny. Everybody
They
gets
would
a
have to have
trophy.
thrown out
We can't do this to these kids.
Like let's combine a word that doesn't exist, like Knicks win or something. Like Jets. Let's combine words.
Let's take a break.
Let's combine words that don't exist.
How about if we ask the kids to spell rapture? Because coming up, it was a great night in Toronto. We'll explain how Toronto stifled the Warriors' offense and silenced their critics in the process. And if you thought Drake was going to avoid the spotlight after a talking to from the NBA, well, you were thinking of the wrong champagne poppy. We got that and more as we roll on. It's Get Up on ESPN. That was well played.